Well, hello. Today we're looking at the Nebula Mars 3 projector. I've been beta testing it for Nebula for a little bit. I own the Nebula Mars 2 Pro, as well as a few other projectors. I should warn you that I'm a huge projector nerd. So let's look at the Mars 2 for a minute, just so we have a place to start from. I bought this last year. I wanted to have a projector that we could take on the road, something that the kids could have in their hotel room so we could have movie night when we're out on vacation. I didn't have huge expectations for this. It's 720p. It's, 500 ANSI lumens by the manufacturer's specs. It's got a great battery life. It's fine. It's fun. You know, it's small. It's about the size of a soda can. 2 from the side. It's light. If the kids drop it and break it, I'm not gonna cry. It's lived up to that expectation. And after I bought it, I was also curious, like, well, what's the next size look like? So I bought this one. This is the Nebula Cosmos Laser Series 1080p. It comes in a 4K version and the 1080p version. I just got the 1080p. I turned it on and was just blown away. It is so bright and so sharp that it made my much more expensive LG 4K projector just look antiquated and old. It's so bright that the light bounces around the room while you're watching a movie. You can see your hands, you can see your food. You don't have to turn on lights in the house. Most of the time I just have my Apple TV playing a screensaver, and that's the light in the living room. It's just a great projector. It really does it for me. I just love it. So the question is, come back, focus. There we go. The question is, how does the Mars 3 live up to this family line? Where does it sit? Is it awesome outside? Is it awesome inside? How's battery life? What are its features? So in a second, we'll take a closer look at some of the technical features, and we'll do some relative brightness tests so you can see for yourself. As someone who has purchased projectors in the past, I've been frustrated. You know, when you go to a store, you can't really see what they do. You know, short of BH Photo in New York, I don't know any stores where they have projectors, a projector room for you to see how sharp it is, how bright it is. A lot of places have a 15% restocking fee. So if you buy a $1,000 projector, you take it home and you don't like it, you know, you just wrote them a check for $150 to drive it back and forth. So as someone who would be on the opposite side of this video, I wanted to sort of do kind of a technical run through of those features. But first, before we jump into that, let's just actually look at this unit and see what it's got that's new. It's got this cool little foot pad that you can flip on and off. It's supposedly weather resistant, like your ports are covered and they have this little flap. It's got cool buttons on top, so you can do all your controls from the top. You don't need your remote most of the time. And you turn it on just like you do with this little one, just by flipping the lid. And there she goes. It also has this cool little display in the back that tells you what's left of your battery. And one of my favorite things is it's got this like super sweet backlight. So, you know, if you're watching a movie at your house, you flip on the backlight, you know, it just brightens up the back of the room and you can see a little more clear. So it's pretty awesome. I've been having a really good time with it. This guy runs an old version of Android 7.1. If you've used it, you know it's not so fun. You have to use this little finger guide to move around and select things. This one runs Android TV, which actually works really well. So if you don't want to, you don't have to have a Roku stick or an Apple TV. You can still plug it in So back here, you've got HDMI, you've got USB-A, USB-C, and audio out. So yeah, you could run a Roku stick, you could power it off the back. But as it comes out of the box running the Android TV, it works really good. You know, you can download the Max app, you can download the Amazon app, you can download the Disney app. So you're really kind of set to go. So yeah, you could, this is it. You don't really need to take anything else if you're going to have a little fiesta. Anyways, so let's jump into projector mode and let's look at how this thing looks on screen. And let's look at the relative brightness between these two. And what I mean by relative is, let's put them closer together so they look cool. It's hard to know what a screen is doing if you're photographing it with your phone, right? So if you take your phone and you start making a video and it's a dark screen, it's gonna brighten it, right? So if I photograph a dark image and a brighter image with the same phone, it will likely make it look the same, which is not very useful to a review. So what I did is I have borrowed some manual lenses for these cameras, and we're gonna shoot the screen using a manual aperture. We'll always use the same aperture regardless of the projector so that we can actually compare apples to apples and be able to look at brightness on a relative scale. You know, how that will translate to your environment it's hard to know. You know, we'll shoot here in a dark warehouse. I can attest personally that the Cosmos 1080p is amazing, that you will not be disappointed. And I mean, without even showing you the stuff, I can tell you that this one is also really good. I've been using it instead of my Cosmos laser, and it's been my workhorse at home as well. So it's pretty awesome. Anyways, let's get into it. So this is what I mean by relative brightness. So I'm in a very dark room. I got my projector playing and it looks all blown out and gross. You look at the color correct screen and it also looks terrible. You've got a Sony running a standard aperture of 5.6 on a manual lens, and yeah, like this doesn't do us much good, but when we switch to the feed, which visually matches what my eyes are seeing in the room, you instantly can tell right away what we're trying to do. Here's some Creative Commons HD footage playing off of YouTube on my Cosmos laser, and here's how the Mars 3 compares to it. As you can see, it's not that far off. It's relatively close. The Cosmos is rated at 1800 lumens or 1804, while the Nebula is rated at 1000, but you're not really seeing a half of light output. It's just, it's holding its own really well. It's sharp, it's bright, it looks great. And here's how the same footage holds up against the Mars 2 Pro. And right off the bat, you can see a big drop in brightness as well as detail. The Mars 3 is 1080p, whereas the Mars 2 is 720p, and you can really tell as the detail gets lost, as well as the brightness. So overall, the Mars 3 is a huge leap in technology from the 2, and it holds up really well against a projector that is designed to be indoors only. So the Mars 3 by default is in standard mode, and in standard mode you're supposed to get about 2 hours of battery life. I've only been able to get about 1:40. It could be because I have a beta unit. But in this mode, in eco mode, you'll get 5 hours of playtime, which is great for camping or just being off power. It's still pretty watchable. The AI brightness mode is supposed to adjust to the brightness in the room and figure out where you should be. I haven't done a whole lot of experimentation with it, to be honest. I like things bright, I like it plugged in. I'm not super worried about running this on battery. I like that I can. Okay, that concludes our review of the new Mars 3. It's pretty awesome. You know, it's very, very comparable to the 1080p laser. It's portable. It's portable with very few compromises. It doesn't need an Apple TV or a Roku stick to be awesome. It's a projector that you can have at the house, that you can easily just unplug and take in the backyard for movie night. I feel like they've really knocked this one out of the park. A couple other takeaways is, you know, the battery life at full brightness isn't enough to watch a 2-hour movie or 3-hour movie. But if you're out camping without power, you're in eco mode, you're running this thing for 5 hours, I think you'll have a blast. And you know, if you're having a barbecue movie night with your friends, chances are that it's not a big deal for you to run power to your projector. You've got power for other things, so you know, I think it's great. So you know, it's a winning package at the price point that they've got it at with the intro deal with the $200 off. It's a great buy. It works inside, works outside, and yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching this review. I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Nebula, if you want me to review other projectors, just keep sending them my way. Other than that, thank you for watching.